The algorithms are programmed for maximum profit. Maximum profit is based on view duration. If they get you to watch it, then it's maximum profit. They don't care if it's true or not. So if someone can make a documentary, for example, about aliens coming to invade us and get away with it,
someone will do it.
I am not saying this documentary is false, guys, but all I'm saying, anything that claims such extreme alarmist stuff needs to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. Persona is a 2021 HBO original documentary that explores the dangers and truths behind the tests like Myers-Briggs personality tests. It asks, how are these evaluations that have often been used in order to filter out potential employees affecting our society as a whole? Are we creating a new unhireable class of people? And what are the long-term effects of this type of classification of personalities? This documentary is produced by Dorothy Street Pictures. Overall opinion, let's get into this one, shall we? The negatives. This documentary seems very concerned about being hip, especially the first 20 minutes. If I were just watching the documentary and I wasn't trying to review it, I would have gotten turned off by this and quit watching it. I almost expected them to do the backpack boy thing in order to be hip, get them kids. Another thing, halfway through the documentary, I'm still waiting for the big shocker. It comes in around the last 20 minutes, by the way. It's quite a shocker, but not surprising. I'll just leave it at that, guys. And lastly, a lot of the victim view without solution-oriented view of things. So I would have liked to see more of that, because the movie kind of leaves you kind of hopeless and then offer the suicide hotline number. I thought, yes, that's what you do. Deal with the
weeds, not the root of the problem. Good job.
And now life lesson time, where I find something we can learn from the movie that can help us build great lives. This is a positive thing in the movie that I want to highlight. I wish I had more of this guy and his things. But shout out to Jamal Eagleston, a work readiness instructor. He teaches people how to be empowered and to use the information of those tests to how to do better at the tests, so they quit failing the tests. That's awesome. He's very solution oriented. He says, yeah, it sucks your situation, but let's figure out how we can get you to do better on these tests. He acknowledges that there are situations that suck and stuff. But he also finds out by teaching these people, it's like, dude, you don't say that. You can't say that. So this tells you how to do the test appropriately. It gives you power. It empowers you to do it correctly so you can get hired. And this guy has a program in a school that does this. Great way to start that. The importance of focusing on the solution, not the problem. Yes, there's a problem. We can identify the problem. We can complain about it a little bit. Only enough to identify what we can change. Other than that, you're just complaining and it gets depressing and you feel like you don't have any control over it. And then eventually, like at the end of this documentary, they have to offer you the suicide hotline because Lord knows you don't have control of anything. This whole system, it's all against you. It's going to kill you.
It's horrible. So of course you feel that way.
They actually showed a guy that did focus on problem, and I think that's very true. And I think it's a very important, essential thing in order to build a life worth living. Now, a book I personally found very helpful to help me. One of the things, I have several things in my life that I've done to help me get out of the victim view because Lord knows I struggle with it. But one thing that really did help me a lot, and it's a great starter book, is Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules of Life. Check it out if you're having issues with too much victimhood and not finding a solution. It's a very good book that helps you start thinking the correct way. It takes years to build a life worth living. It took years to build a life that's not worth living. It takes years to build a life worth living. So that's a good start, guys. But again, guys, that's just my opinion. Take what you want and leave the rest. Let's build lives worth living one choice at a time. The positives. There are some positives for sure. The fact that I'm glad they made this documentary to point this information out so maybe we can do something about it and not just make a victim-y, scary, the sky is falling situation so they get clickbait for money. The document does bring to light flaws in any human-made test. I can't tell you how many people that I know, even some real close to me, that they're like, the IQ test says this. And it's like, for some reason they think the IQ test is the most untouchable, perfect system. And I'm like, dude, the IQ test is so affected by culture and by who made it and by what they think is important and stuff. Or even if the person taking the test gives a crud. And so they're just not very accurate either. None of these are. I have bad news for you guys. There's no perfect test. Well, guys, as you can see, I have little to say about positives. The message is important, but other than the HOPE program, there was just no real solutions offered. Look, I get that we have to identify the problem, but should it not be part of the purpose of a documentarian to find the voices that have solution, highlight them, amplify them, So by the end of the documentary, not having to offer the suicide hotline to people who watch this horror show of victimhood and then feel hopeful and say, well, gosh, maybe there's something I could do to solve this problem. Should that not be an attempt? I already came up with a solution to this problem that's up for discussion. It's not necessarily the solution, but let's discuss it. Do something. If companies are to use these tests and now these algorithms...
There's algorithms now, guys, by the way, that are going to be more horrifying as far as cutting people off.
They should be required by law, by the federal government, we should be able to obtain the results of those tests. It's our tests. We own those tests. We took them. We should deserve the results. We need the results. That way we can take classes and learn how to take these tests and improve ourselves and learn what we're doing wrong, because you don't even know you're doing anything wrong. You're just getting cut off. You don't know. There's no what did I do wrong? You don't know. So they should be required by law to provide the results of the test. I think that's a pretty good start. This documentary was an important subject, but I did not care for the delivery of the information. That's why I'm giving Persona 2021 HBO Documentary a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
Peace! Yeah, boy.